Skeleton competitions are measured to the hundredths of a second. United States skating measured to the thousandths of a second. We've got over 1,400 meters of beautiful manicured ice, and it's going to be quick. It's going to be quick. Yesterday we saw the elite sliders coming through the chicane in excess of 73 miles an hour. I think we're going to be upwards of 75, 76 miles an hour to that gravity transition corner. This is the 25th annual, 25th time you have the International Bobsled Federation World Championships. To start over, brief walk.
Good morning and welcome to a blustery and chilly Lake Placid, New York. Overnight freeze has come in the Adirondack Mountains, and we have gone from +6 to -7 overnight. The track is ready for action in the second day of the Men's Skeleton World Championships, and we are poised for a great second day of action. Germany's Axel Jung lies in third place after the first 2 of 4 heats, but he is just 200s ahead of his teammate Christopher Groothaer, who's fourth. Groothaer, the 3-time world champion, the defending world champion from Winterberg last year. So can Axel grab another medal? And what about Great Britain's Marcus Wyatt lying in second position? He's a couple of tenths ahead of the German duo. Could he take a silver medal? He was 100th off the medals in the World Championships a year ago. This is definitely his time. But the man at the top of the pile is Great Britain's Matt Weston, the 2023 world champion and last year's silver medalist. 4,400s up in the first heat. He doubled that in the second to go 8,900s ahead with the overnight lead. It is not a given that he is going to win the race, but he has a great advantage. So this is the way they finish. Matt Weston on top of the pile, and then Marcus Wyatt ahead of Axel Jung and Christopher Groothaer. Realistically, that should be where the medals come from, but Yinxing of China and Qianwen Hao are definitely lurking with intent. Effectively, this is a totally different track today from the one that they raced on yesterday. Much faster. The forerunners have come down and saying they are expecting track records today, and that was definitely not the case yesterday. The big deal here is how you position yourself for the final run. Matt Weston there, Marcus Wyatt in the changing room, and also trying to make it in the top 25 to go into that fourth and final run. Unfortunately, those outside the 25 already seem to be quite a long way away, but it's not guaranteeing that everybody is going to get down safely. So good morning, everybody. Well, it is definitely a different day here today. I'm Martin Haven, delighted to have back with me Sarah Roderick, US slider. And Sarah, it's such a different track. I mean, the speeds are going to be very different. How do you adapt without any practice, any training or anything else, suddenly to conditions that are so much quicker?
Yeah, it's going to be definitely tricky for these guys. A faster track here in Lake Placid means the transitions come even faster at you. So that Devil's Highway is definitely going to present a challenge for them here, which just means quicker steers, more on top of it, along with equipment too. That's going to be really different ice. It's much harder ice. I just watched the forerunners come down. They are cooking. So like you said, I think we might see a track record. We also might see a start record today. Austin Florian was really close yesterday, tying it. So yeah, you know, I know that he's hungry for that as well. But really excited to see what these guys can produce here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a track record.
Well, the records both go back to 2016, January 2016, Yunsun being of Korea, the start record, and the track record back to 29. So, Matt Weston, everything to win and everything to lose here as well. This is absolutely the key run for him. If he can consolidate or even extend his lead, then he will be in a really good place. 4.80 the start. He did 4.75, 4.73 yesterday.
That says maybe the groove's a little sticky, or maybe he's just a little tired from yesterday. Either way, he's setting himself well up in the highway right now. Luckily, these athletes did have some quick ice earlier in the week, so it's not completely blind they're coming into here. They definitely have a little bit of experience.
Yeah, yesterday was really the anomaly, wasn't it? The training days were fast and hard, good speed as well here. And so this is more what they're used to, perhaps.
Yeah, just for reference, yesterday Matt was going about 113, where right now he's going 121. So he had more speed coming out of 10 than he did out of 14. So it's definitely a quick track today.
All right, 52.87 is the record.
See you later.
52.80 is the record.
Matt Weston says, let's go, guys.
Talked to him after the first heat yesterday, and he said the top 10 in the world, and he was #1 in the world, get the chance to choose their start draw. He said, I wanted to go first. I didn't want to see what anybody else did. I just wanted to go down the track and see what happened. And that's exactly what happened. And
sometimes that's honestly the best, because you don't have anything to compare to. You don't have anybody to kind of size against. It's just you and the track, and
yeah.
I totally respect that. Overthinking
is a major problem in this sport, as in life and so many other things. But look at that, shot the chicane beautifully. And
just cruising.
Woo. So nice. Let's have some fun.
So let's see what everybody else has got. I mean,
yeah,
Marcus Wyatt, potentially the silver medalist. They were 1-2 in the World Cup overall standings. A 1-2 here would be unique, I think, in British Skeleton World Championship history, either a men or women's competition. We've had world champions before. One of them we'll see later coaching in the women's race, Kristen Bromley and Matt Weston. We've had plenty of women's golds. 1-2. And so this is pressure for Weston. He's not far ahead of the Germans. One mistake in either of the two runs could really cost all of them.
Yeah, but Marcus really knows how to perform. Like I said yesterday, he is as cool as a cucumber. He doesn't panic, even right there, a little left wall out of one. Handling it really well. I think he probably just heard that his buddy and teammate just set a track record, and he's ready to try to beat that.
I think so. I think they're looking a little smoother in 2-3 on Cliffside than they were yesterday. So, again, maybe they're just more in the groove with what we've got today.
Yeah, more in the groove, and also when the ice hardens like this in Lake Placid, the top becomes a lot easier, to be honest with you.
Yeah. 70 miles an hour coming out of Shady. You can see he's in the red behind his teammate, 1.4 seconds back.
He's about 3 kilometers slower than Matt.
Wow. All right, well, now, is this dangerous for Marcus Wyatt? At the line, 53.59. That's 0.7 of a second slower than Matt Weston's just come down. Now, they have access to the same equipment. They'll set the sleds up differently. They're different sizes, different weights. They steer differently. So it's very individual, but that might be dangerous. We'll have to see what the Germans produce next behind him, and Yin Cheng of China and Chen Wenhao.
Absolutely, yeah. I think this is going to be a really cool kind of group of top athletes here to see what they can produce.
Well, the start was decent. He didn't look entirely happy with his run. I mean, he came nicely through the chicane, but he didn't have the speed all the way down. I wonder whether maybe he's just not got the settings.
One more to go.
Oh, that doesn't look great. That doesn't look great. So, well, at the moment, we don't know. We only know what 2 people have done. We've got 29 in our field. So what about Axel Junk? He has been a silver medalist. He's been a bronze medalist in the World Championships before, a 4-time team gold medalist, and the team's competition will be tomorrow evening here. So he's got plenty of big race day experience, of course, Olympic medalist as well. So 2nd fastest in Heat 2, only 5th quickest in Heat 2 yesterday, 2nd fastest in Heat 1. So kind of slipped a little. 4.94, so a 10th slower than we've just seen from Marcus Wyatt. And they were tied after the first heat.
Axel doing a nice job heading into Devil's Highway here. This is one of the most important places on the track to build that speed. Coming all the way through, again, the really tight transitions. It's hard, the TV doesn't do it justice. And then this is the other big one here, is this Lake Placid Shady 2 curve. You'll notice as athletes come through those letters on that ice, you really kind of want to be cutting through them or just above them, not having a lot of space. So Axel's going to lose some speed here as looks like 2nd best speed coming out of chicane.
Yeah. So what's the red indicator on the right, past the running clock? That's his position on the splits. 3rd fastest start. And ahead of Matt Weston. Beg your pardon, ahead of Marcus Wyatt. So he just crept 300s ahead of Marcus, right in the death. So he had a better run through the heart. It's gonna be tight, isn't it? So 53.44, yeah. That was 1,500s quicker than Marcus Wyatt, and he was only 1,200s behind him. So positions himself potentially as the silver medalist with the final run to go. But again, we're going to have to wait and see what the next 3 or 4 do.
It's 4 heats, right? Not 3,
yeah,
so here we go.
Exactly, and not 2. Yeah.
Ooh, just trying to sneak it through chicane, maybe a little extra work there, but had good top speed coming through, so was able to carry it.
Yeah, one of the things is the harder ice, you have a smaller contact patch, so all those tiny little adjustments take longer to happen, but also cost you a bit less in friction. Now, this might be the real danger man, Christopher Groothair. He is never down and out. Even when he hasn't walked away with a medal, he never looks like it's really hurt. He could be the man on the move here. He hasn't got the fastest start, but he does drive well.
He drives well, and he drives well on fast ice, too.
Yeah. 499.
Oh, pretty decent-sized skid coming out of curve 1 there. That's not going to help, but a lot of track left. Oh, another pretty big skid and super late into 4. That's going to produce a lot of work coming into the highway. Unfortunately, I think this is going to crush him here coming into 10.
Well, now he was just outside the top 3. But Yincheng of China and Chen Wenhao, his teammates, are right behind. 4th best speed. He's only the 4th man down, so the slowest so far. And he is losing ground, isn't he?
Yep, and comes off more on that left side of 14 going to chicane, which is not ideal for a fast line there.
And this is a little like Marcus Wyatt, losing his grip on his position. He's slipping back, 1.95 back.
Yeah, it just looked like he maybe had a little less control than anticipated. Like you were talking about that contact patch of the runner on the ice. Maybe he just needs a little bit more for today. Maybe underpredicted the hardness of the ice.
Yeah. And the adjustments are so tiny. I was talking to German coach Dirk Matchens, who coaches the Chinese athletes. He said as little as 0.5 millimeter of adjustment on the bow on the bottom of the sled can be the difference between being quick and being dead slow.
Yeah, we talk about finding the limit. I talk with my coach a lot of where is the limit on that one specific runner and when is it time to actually change the runner. We have different cuts on the bottom, so you can have different shapes, different widths, all sorts of things that look like nothing, but they mean everything to us.
All right, 1 to go for Chris Groothair, but at the moment 2 seconds off the lead. Marcus Wyatt and Axel Jung are nearly back to where they were after the first heat, a near dead heat. Now, these next 2 potentially are the danger men, and then Austin Florian as well, because if he responds well to this, he could be right in the mix as well. Yincheng. So Yen are bronze medalist last year in the World Championships. Let's see what the Chinese have brought to the table today. 4:89, decent start, a 10th quicker than we just saw from Christopher Groothair, so 3rd fastest start.
I will say that start grooves might be a little bit sticky, like I kind of mentioned beforehand. Everyone's just a little bit slower than yesterday, and these athletes are so primed. They're ready for 4 heats, so it wouldn't make total sense that they were slower just because they're tired. So.
It'll warm up a fraction perhaps, or open up the grooves a fraction with all the sleds going through. So, okay, 4th place. So he's ahead of Groothair already.
Really great going through Shady 2, a little skid into 13.
But he's moving up. 1.7 back, 4th best speed. He's not going to catch Marcus Wyatt, not at this rate. He's not going to be too far behind. How close is he to the medals? Right, he's a couple of tenths away from the medals at the moment. But again, 1 disastrous run ahead of him in the Heat 4 if he can put a good one down. And we saw Xiao Dang in the women's race yesterday come from 14th to 6th. If you lay down a smoker, same as Kimberly Boss, to take the lead overnight in the women's race, you can really make a big difference.
Absolutely. Especially that women's race is really close right now. It's pretty awesome.
I know. A good strong start from Yincheng. He was actually our push world champion here in 2022.
Bit of a skid sometimes coming out of that curve 12. It's notorious for kind of throwing you against that wall into 13. So some athletes, you can kind of see them hesitating, and that's what breaks them out into the skid. It's not necessarily the curve itself.
Yeah.
It's just your mind saying, this could hurt.
Yeah, you see the effect. Often you don't spot what the cause is. You have to know as a slider. So Matt Weston leads from Axel Jung and Marcus Wyatt. Yincheng climbs up a ladder to 4th place. What about Chen Wenhao? Never been in the medals in a major competition, but Chen's season has been nothing if not consistent. He's really put in some really good drives. Let's see if he can step up on this big day.
Yeah, these Chinese sliders, too, on their new sleds, they know they've been taking a couple years to work into them, but it really seems like they're all coming into their own, learning them, kind of getting the feel for them, which is half the battle.
4th World Championships for him. His best was in St. Moritz 2 years ago. He finished in 9th place, so he's way exceeding that. Little tap tap and a skid.
That tap of 4.4, it doesn't look bad, but it really can crush a lot of your speed heading into the highway. So he's managing it pretty well. Little late off of 8 there, and a bit early going into 10.
He was only 400s behind his teammate, and he slipped back behind him now to 5th place. He was ahead of Yin Cheng, but again, as we've seen earlier, a good heart below the chicane here. Shoots the chicane beautifully, slipping back to 5th best speed and 6th position. So where's the speed gone? Again, maybe that rocker adjustment was just not right. Across the line, 5th fastest run. He did not move up, but early on in the run, he was ahead of Christopher Grote here and his teammate Yin Cheng. Well, if he goes back up top, confers with his coach and makes the right adjustment, he could be absolutely flying in the 4th and final run.
And like you said before, he's been really consistent this season, and that's the name of the game here. So 4 runs, he's got 1 more if he can stay consistent. Maybe fix this a little bit, try to carry that speed he built from the start there. Just late out of 10, hits that left wall.
And came a bit flat through 10, didn't have that acceleration, that slingshot effect when you dive off the top of Shady. And that always shows in the speed lower down, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We like to say you have a little chat with the roof and then you shoot out.
Get on first name terms and then it'll fire you down the hill. All right. Lots of noise at the top of the track for USA's Austin Florian. Had a disappointing first heat, only 10th quickest, recovered with an 8th fastest run on the 2nd run yesterday. Fastest starter in the competition. You know he's coming to this track loaded for bear.
Absolutely. He's another one on this track that he knows how to drive it. He heard Matt Weston's time. He's excited for it. He slides really well when it's fast here. Really relaxed. Excited to watch this run. Beautiful entry into 4, setting himself up really nicely into the highway. If he can let it rip here.
That's what the boys, the 4 runners, were saying. If you have a good highway, the world is your oyster today. This is looking smooth, needs that height, needs to really drive down, gets the drive off 10, 3rd best speed, there you go. And look, he started
beautiful entry to
7th overnight, he's up to 4th place. This is a really strong run.
Just stay nice and relaxed through chicane, 3rd best speed.
You can take the hit there, he's still in the top 4. How close will he be to the medals? Great run, oh, that tap on the wall, slipped a couple to 6th position. But he is 1/10 out of 4th.
Yeah, I think that he can definitely look at to 14. I think that's kind of where the nemesis was for him. The rest of the run was really beautiful. Again, maybe a little extra work here and there that he could back off, but overall, I know he wants that top 6 for sure at least. So.
And pinballing out a 19 as well across the line definitely doesn't help.
Not the fastest, that's for sure. Boston's been in great spirits last night. He was excited, had mixed emotions last night of runner setup and runs. So
well, looks like he's pretty much on the money. Takes this little hit in the chicane, but it doesn't kick him into a big skid.
Yeah, manages it really well.
Yeah.
So room to move up. Come on, hey, everybody.
He's got tons of friends and family here.
Yes,
it's so awesome. They're so loud.
He has. All right, now for Ukraine, Vladislav Heraskevich lying in 8th place overnight and just 100th behind Austin Florian. This is a really totemic track for him. It's the one he's had his best ever World Cup result on. He really loves this track. He's big, he's strong, he's not the fastest at the start, but he carries mass.
Definitely, this is kind of a run that I'm really interested in seeing here. I think that he could really pull something out and move up the ranks a little bit.
So 4:97 getaway, a little quicker than Christopher Grote here. So 7th fastest start, takes a hit in 4, comes off square.
Nice control through 5. Drops a bit out of 7. Nice line through 10.
5th best speed, got the drive down, out of Shady. So does he start to move up now? Chen Wen Hao will be his first victim.
2nd best speed. That was a really nice looking 14.
Absolutely flies down the bottom here. Gravity is his friend. He's ahead of Chen. Does he get to Austin Florian? How close behind him? 4th fastest run. And he is 1100s behind Austin Florian, but he has moved up ahead of Chen Wen-hao.
Man, what seemed to be a fairly open race yesterday is real close now between what looks like 2 through 8 here.
Yeah, and one more to go as well. We're going to throw a few more names up and see where they land in the final heat, I think. A big smile on Vlad's face. It's really a track that he responds well to. I think it's got a lot of the feel of Sigulda, where he learned to slide, and so yeah, it's a happy place.
Yeah, there's some parallels too. We kind of talk about sliders or gliders tracks versus drivers tracks, and what your brain kind of meshes with better. So some people are good at just laying there, and others like to think the whole way down.
Yeah. The busier it is, I think the better Vlad likes it. Kim Ji-soo of Korea next up, the 30-year-old in his 6th World Championships, made his debut in the Worlds in Whistler back in 2019. Best is 8th place in St. Moritz. He was only 18th last year in Winterberg, so lying in 9th place overnight. And again, a really tight battle with Lin Chen-wei of China, who's just 100th behind him.
Interesting start there. He got a little bit away from his sled, so you'll see his athletes are running down. You want to stay pretty parallel, but he came up really wide, took a big swing, losing some velocity there. Nice and low through 3, though. Just lets that run into 4. That'll be a nice, patient, flowing highway.
9th at the start, 9th on the splits at the moment.
Looks like he's just doing a little too much everywhere. Really high in 10, gonna hit that wall. Can kind of sometimes flip you even if you're too early out.
Yeah, not going to close on Chen Wen-hao in 8th place. And this leaves him vulnerable to Chen's teammate Lin Chen-wei. The rookie was really in good form yesterday. Kim going to slip away, I think. This might, at the moment he's 9th, I think it might see him drop out of the top 10, head of the Korean Federation here this weekend. This has always been where Korean sliders have sort of started their career. North America, much closer to the Asian side of the globe than Europe is, so they learn on these tracks.
It's been really cool this year. Our World Cup tour really took us around the world. For the first time ever, I've circumnavigated the globe in 1 year, so actually in 2 months.
Yeah.
And I know that everyone's really stoked about that, being able to have a little piece of everywhere and be able to show kind of your talent and your home track. And
well, there you go, rattling through the chicane. I fear that Kim may not even be in the top 10 at the end of this heat. Yeah. Throws his head in his hands. Yeah. All the mistakes. So what about Lin Chen-wei of China? Fastest start in the first heat and 3rd fastest in the second. Came down 12th quickest in heat 1 and then 7th fastest in heat 2 to move up into 10th place overnight. Was just 100th behind Kim Ji-soo. And I think that Kim and potentially his own teammate Chen Wen-hao in 8th place might well be vulnerable if he can put a good run together. But he's not the most experienced on this track.
Yeah, you were saying yesterday kind of that new mentality that never been here before, sort of a rookie almost like mentality. Really does help out. Really beautiful entry into 4.
Okay, 3rd fastest start. He's 9th on the splits already, up to 8th. So he's jumped Kim Jin-soo, he's jumped Chen Wen-hao. Next target, 7th place, Vladislav Heraskevich.
Again, a bit early into 10, just kind of leaking out to that left side. A bit loose at the bottom of the track here. Ooh, big hit on the right wall, triple, quadruple tap and chicane. That's not fast.
Yeah, speed's gone away.
Tough hit there, just really loose at the bottom. Wondering if that's a setup or maybe he was hit out of position there on his sled.
All right, well, he jumped ahead of Kim Ji-soo, but slipped back behind teammate Chen, and he's 44 hundredths behind Chen. He was ahead until it all started to unravel below Shady.
Maybe that's just second day nerves of, all right, I've got to climb.
And also, you know, in the slower corners, maybe there's less of an adjustment to make, but once you're really motoring below Shady, then you've got to be super ahead of the sled with your steers, and it looks like he just wasn't quite.
Absolutely. Just too many hits here. Tried to take that diving line out of 14, which is definitely a fast line, but it's a fine line. Matt Antoine told me once, you should be able to fit a piece of paper between you and the wall. And I looked at him with crazy eyes.
One more to go for Lin. So he remains in the top 10 in 9th place. He's moved up from the overnight 10th, and Kim Ji-soo slipped down. So we have another 19 sleds to go in the third of our 4 heats. First up is Amadeo Banyas. And Banyas in a tough battle as well with the next slider, Alex Schlindner of Austria. They're just 100th apart. There were so many close battles in both heats. 491, he started 78 and 76 yesterday, so that's getting on for 2/10 slower, 1500 slower. I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if he caught a gust of wind at the start, or...
It's pretty windy out there today.
Yeah.
Definitely can play a factor. Timing.
Certainly Winterberg, that's not covered much beyond the start. The wind blows right up into the slider's face.
Definitely. You can feel it.
Yeah, if you get a gust, suddenly it looks like you've got your shoelaces tied together. Not great speed here.
Not great speed. A few skids in chicane. Again, that area is flat and just a little bit uphill, so that's going to take away some of that speed.
53.97 in the middle, Willi Schneider. And that's 2/10 slower than we've just seen from Lin of China. I have a feeling Amadeo Banyas has just stood on a snake, and like Christopher Grote here, he's going to slip down the order. That was not a happy-looking run in any way, shape or form, and to be 1500s off his start as well is unusual.
Yeah, you'll see those runners there in that slow-mo shot just kind of headed towards the wall. You really want to keep things parallel, and that's just going to crush your speed again. Big skid into 13, kind of spooked by that chipped ice there on the wall. It's tough though through chicane and through 14. You either got to go for the speed or you got to go for the clean line, and sometimes you miss both.
Yeah. So, door is open for Alex Schlindner to try and move up from 12th position. Actually, if he finds another 1700s, he could be in the top 10 going into the final heat. And for the Austrian, that would be really good news. It's his 3rd World Championships. He was 20th in Winterberg and in St. whose 2 previous outings. So this is a big step forward. And actually, the only Austrian that's outperformed expectations in the men or the women's field so far.
Yeah, definitely. I talked to Schlindner yesterday after the 2nd heat, and he's just feeling really good. He feels positive, you know, just taking for what it is, just trying to stay relaxed. You know, he says that his teammates now call him the Titan of Austria, so he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders today, I think. But
all right, 12th at the start. 11th fastest speed at the moment, but still trying to close in on the sliders in front. Amadeo Banyas of Italy is his first target.
Really nice looking 12-13. This is kind of where Schlindner made up some time yesterday, so up to 7th best speed already, which is amazing. Definitely likes the bottom of this track. A bit early to 18, that clip can get you, giving some people problems.
Yeah, accelerates across the line, 54.01, so actually lost a little bit of ground to Amadeo Banyas. So interesting.
I wonder maybe where.
The speed wasn't bad at the bottom, was it? It looks like he got
one of the better speeds.
Yeah, got good drive down out of 14.
That's right. I know that he'll kind of like this position and say, all right, eyes forward.
Yeah. He is also the best placed Austrian slider, and Sami Meyer way down in 19th place, tied for 19th overnight. Not sure that there's much chance of Meyer getting up to where Alex is. Yeah, it didn't look bad. Obviously didn't feel great. So next up, Germany's Felix Kaisinger. So the young Bavarian. Normally, early in his career, he'd be in the top 3 or 4 starters. He's sort of 8th, 10th fastest off the blocks at the moment. It just always seems to be a bag of nervous energy at the start. I always referred to him as the cage tiger. He's always pacing up and down. But
he's kind of backed off that a little bit this year. I've noticed he's a little less at the line. Maybe he's just trying to hone in and focus in a little bit more.
Yeah. we're all getting a little older, and life changes, you know, and your mentality changes. 6th best velocity of the 8th best start, so he really loaded onto the sled well and carried that speed well.
Definitely just few little mistakes though up top. That's going to carry into the highway here. Just a little tap, a little skid, dropping. You don't want to see kind of that falling from the sky in the highway. You want to see a nice smooth transition into the next curve.
Not adapting quite as well to the conditions as he might have hoped. Only the 11th best speed. Schlitter was just a few hundreds in front of him, 2700s.
3 hits going into the chicane, kind of looking like Amadeo there.
10th best speed, so he's got a little in hand, but it was a big gap to Schlitter. He's not going to move up. So 53.99. What this is actually doing, a little surprisingly, is outside of the top half dozen, it's sort of cementing positions rather than seeing much change. The guys who were in a deficit to the sliders that had gone down before them, that deficit predominantly seems to be growing. So the changing conditions not helping as much as some of them will have hoped.
Yeah, and it looks like the ice, I mean, it is really windy out there today. It kind of, the ice, you know, when you get a fresh spritz, it's nice and smooth. And as the wind kind of carries and it warms up a little bit throughout the day, it can get a little frosty or a little stickier. So, again, it's hard to predict the future, but we try our best.
Yeah, it is. The surface of the ice is quite matte rather than high sheen, so it might well be that it is starting to frost a little. Dan Barefoot for the USA. Lots and lots of friends and family on hand supporting him as well. 14th after the first 2 heats. Again, he's a little bit in no man's land. Over a 10th behind Felix Kaisinger and over a 10th ahead of the next group. 2 athletes tied for 15th. So let's see if some warmth from the family can help him on this 3rd run of the competition.
493 is a pretty good start for Dan.
Yeah, quite varied yesterday. 5:03 in the first heat and then 4:89 in the second.
Yeah, he definitely had a tough load on the first one there. He kind of got too close to his sled. Really did a good job of not stepping on it. So to be in this position is awesome. Flop out of 7. Really great entry into 10. Going to build some speed here. 3rd best speed, amazing, Dan.
Yeah.
Very good.
14th over 9th. Felix Kaisinger is looking vulnerable. He's already overhauled Kaisi. Great chicane.
Literally into 17.
Now, does he get close to Alex Schlitter?
Into 18, that's all right. Bump. Sometimes it's better than taking that clip beforehand.
7th fastest run. So he closes in on Alex Schlitter. He's just 600ths behind the Austrian. That little bump down in the heart, that will have cost him more than that. So that's a really good run. 7th fastest run off the 10th best start. All right, he is ready to try and move into the top 10 in the final run.
I think Dan's going to be pretty happy with that. He might be a little annoyed with the 18, but I think, yeah, he's big smiles from Dan.
This is his 3rd World Championships, and his result last season in Winterberg, 22nd place. So this is going to be a big difference. Kind of fell off there, didn't he?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's nice to be in the U.S. What's up, Johnstown, Pennsylvania? Thanks for the support. Love you guys.
All right. So next up, a tie for 15th place. Switzerland's Vincenz Buff and Mattia Gaspari of Italy. The man from Cortina will follow down our Swiss slider.
Excited to see this run here from Vincent. We've been talking about, again, all year, his form, his sliding ability. I think that he is just really coming into his own here. And yeah, excited for him.
Really put it together in the second heat. 12th fastest run to move up from 20th to that 15th place tie. World Championship best result, 16th place for Vincent. So he's already in personal best territory, which is exactly what the sport's all about.
Big skid out of 3. Gets it back online. A little late into 6. Might see a flop here. Right to those letters in 10. Snaps out of there. 14th best speed. Kind of result of his push and a bit of a skid up top, but he builds speed down the track. So
let's see if he gets a clean chicane. Little skinny, but carries much of the speed down into the heart. Where's he going to be at the line? How close to Kaisinger? About 6/10 back. So Felix is going to need a decent final run to stay ahead of Vincent Spoof and potentially Mattia Gaspari. We'll see what Mattia's got in a minute or two. 15th down, 15th fastest run.
A little perplexed there on his face, just kind of wondering maybe up top, why did that happen? At the end of every run, we all kind of go through basically a replay of as best we can to recall and write notes and make changes after hitting our face on the ice, just like that. So it can be tricky.
Yeah, getting a good sock in the jaw from the track. It's only his second time here, came for the North America's Cup World Cup double last season. Of course, most people do, knowing that it was the World Championships this year. So still really learning the track. For Mattia Gaspari, though, of Italy, he's got lots more runs on this ice. So he has that knowledge advantage. Whether he can convert or not, and whether Willi Schneider has got the runner choices and suggestions correct or not remains to be seen.
I always wonder with an athlete with the experience of Mattia, when working with a sled maker like Willi, how much of it is it a conversation? Are you able to just kind of like let over the reins and say, all right, tell me what to run, sort of a thing? But I think with Mattia, his experience is so great that he knows what he wants to feel into the sled, and so far so good.
Yeah.
Really beautiful 4 into 5. I think this fast ice too, you talked about that transition, adjust your steers. Mattia's definitely got.
That's why usually the best in the world are the oldest in the field in this sport, because knowledge is everything.
Knowledge is power. 6 best speed.
All right, he's already, yeah, he's overhauled Vincent Spoof. Little skid there.
Second best speed. Beautiful. Little late into 17, but that's all right. Manages it.
Right, does he get to Kaisi at the line? Is he going to be? No, the 9th fastest run. Willi Schneider there looking a little happier with that, and I'm sure Mattia felt that was absolutely flying. Well, just to put it into context, 53.70 is 9/10 off the new track record, but his previous best run was a 55.3, so that's getting on for 4/10 quicker than he's been down the track at all.
Yeah, actually a little bit of a skid coming out of 14, which just kind of throws him into that wall there. And then another skid again, that's flat and almost uphill in some places in chicane, so that's really going to crush your speed that you did have, but second best speed. Yeah.
Lawrence Bostock, the third of the Great Britain sliders. Top 10 starter in the first 2 runs, 15th fastest run, and then a disappointing second one, only 21st fastest. So he drops down the order now. He was only 900ths behind Mattia Gaspari and Vincent Spoof, so he too has a chance to move up if he has a clean run. This is his first ever World Championship outing. Opportunity to try and move up on day 2.
I wonder what it's like to be one of the younger athletes with 2 just monsters of sliders as kind of your guiding light with Matt and Marcus. So it's got to be awesome to have that experience and those guys with you on the team.
Yeah, to be able to tap into that.
Yeah. Not a bad looking run, just not a lot of speed coming out. Yeah. Maybe too much work there in 14. Riding that left wall in chicane, that's a little unusual there. You have a little late height in 18, but just not quite the speed of his teammates.
But again, you know, maybe that comes down to a little bit to experience. The wilder the sled is, the more likely Matt West and Marcus Wyatt are going to be able to sort of ride with it and mitigate the damage. Whereas if you don't have so much knowledge of the ice and of the track, then maybe you need something that's a little bit more controllable. And unfortunately, with control, you tend to sacrifice a little bit of speed. But a 54.10, so he remains. Well, he's overhauled Vincent Spoof as well.
So when you see a skid
So he's moved up from 17th to 16th place. Long skid through the chicane. That's robbing you of speed that you need in the heart.
One more, let's go.
Well, I mean, apart from anything else, on his debut in the World Championships, he is definitely going to get that fourth run. So.
Absolutely.
Now then, somebody needs some salvation. There's a few actually that need some salvation, but high on that list is Rasmus Johansson, regular 6 to 10 performer in the World Cup all season long, and has often looked like he might just have enough to challenge for a medal, but yesterday's story tells it itself. You know, 21. If that had been his second run, he would have been on suicide watch overnight. He was absolutely distraught. Improved in the second heat, but starting off the second heat in 21st place, there's a long climb ahead of him.
I will say I'm happy to see him smiling at that line. I went up to his dad yesterday. I said, just remind Rasmus to let loose a little bit. It's all good. Like, he's a really good slider. Let it rip. And so far, he's already so much more composed. Feet are together. It's off the ice. Nice and smooth through the highway.
2100s behind the tie for 15th place, and Vincent Boeuf, who's already slipped a couple of spots, is going to be his first target. He's up to 15th already, so he's left Vincent Boeuf and Lawrence Bostock and Mattia Gaspari, so he's already picked off 3.
He's got 4th best speed, coming out 9th out of 14.
All right, slip behind Gaspari again, down to 16th place. And at the moment, he's picking off 2 of the guys in front of him. Comes across the line in 16th with the 9th best run. It's a 53.65 slide.
I think it's important to note, too, that these guys are going almost 2 seconds faster than yesterday. So it's definitely a different track still, even though, you know, maybe 16th place. But that's, I'm going to guess, a personal best for Rasmus on that run. So
there's
good job,
a lot happening in a heck of a hurry, isn't there? Yeah, so Rasmus, 17th place finisher in Winterberg last season in the World Championships.
Climbs a couple spots there with that.
Again, only his second season at the top tier in the World Cup. It's his 3rd World Championships, made his debut in St. Moritz. Again,
yeah, happy with that one.
Yeah,
good.
Limited knowledge here, but he's fired up for the final heat.
Definitely.
Coached by the German team. He rooms actually with Christopher Grother, so plenty of knowledge.
Tapping into talent there.
100%. Now, what about Nick Timmings for Australia? 2 more runs to go. And Timmings in his 4th World Champs. He raced in Winterberg 2019, 2015, Whistler 2019 and Altenburg 2021. So like once a quad he comes to the Worlds.
Nick's been having a great season. I know that as a small nation, there's not a ton of support, so he's really on his own. Works really well with the coaches that are able to help him at different stops, and I think there's something to be said for an athlete that can kind of self-lead that process and perform as well as he is. So a little skitty here, a bit early into 4. He has a lot of experience here, though, so manages it extremely well.
Yeah, he really knows the North American tracks well. Again, they're closer to his 2 homes in Japan and Australia where he lives. So let's see if he can find enough to pick off a spot. Vincent Boeuf again is the long-term rouge at the moment, so he's tail-end Charlie. Does Timmings get close? Often see him travelling and sharing resources with Anna Fernstedt, who's in the silver medal position overnight in the women's race. So that would have been a happy household yesterday, I think, if they're doing it together again. Across the line, 18th best run. There's Leslie Stratton, the former US and Swedish slider. She seems to have forgotten how to clap. I mean, you know,
I know that
she's
Leslie.
Getting old.
I know that Leslie works with these athletes, especially in North America, a lot, and they just love working with her. She has so much knowledge of the sport and is just an incredible energy to have at the trackside. So,
yeah, she's wearing the green and gold of Australia.
Almost taps the wall going into 1. Again, just a bit sideways there. And then lots of work coming out of 14. You see his right leg kind of pop up behind him. He's trying to counter, is what we would call that, out through the exit of 14. And sometimes that just cuts some speed.
One more. Bye-bye.
We don't phone, we don't text, but he always says hello on air. There you go. So, Sammy Meyer of Austria, what a horrendous day he had yesterday. 16th fastest in the first heat was a massive disappointment. 24th only in the second heat was an absolute shocker.
Definitely not what we expected from Sammy yesterday. Hoping that today is a little bit better for him. Up top, he's looking nice and smooth, so hopefully he's got some better grip today. A little calm.
He's our 20th slider. That was only the 17th fastest start. So Sammy needs to have a good sled under him, the right runner, the right setup. He never gives up. He does slide well, and that's a good exit out of Shady. Fourth best speed is his reward. Here we go. How high can he climb? Day 2 needs to have some salvation.
Left hit out of 14. That's really not normal.
Yeah,
he's been struggling with 18 there too. The last 2 runs you saw him kind of get bucked off the sled a little bit. So.
All right, he's up 2 spots ahead of Vincent Spoof and Nick Timmings. But yeah.
Sometimes we talk about making friends with the track too. You know, sometimes you leave and you're not very good friends, and I think that Sammy right now is not having a great relationship with Lake Placid.
Deadly enemies, I would have said. Right,
but I think that
track's not being kind to him.
But I know that this is just fueling him for next year for sure. Yeah. You know?
Well, he might be hoping that the Olympic Games actually is in Cortina and not in the alternate, which would be here. That would not make his season.
That would be a little daunting, I'm sure.
The good news is the track in Cortina is due to be iced in about 10 days. So we'll have to see exactly what it brings.
Big skid headed through chicane there. It's just a tough run. It's all right, Sammy.
It was a run of 2 halves. The top half looked good. The bottom half just fell apart in a big hurry. Matt Weston, our leader, from Axel Jung and Marcus Wyatt. 20 down and 9 to go. So outside the top 20, the young Ukrainian slider Yaroslav Lavrenyuk, the Youth Olympic silver medalist in 2024. And Yaroslav in his 2nd World Champs, raced in Winterberg, into 27th place, so a big improvement in the last 12 months from this young man.
Yeah, Yaroslav has had a really great year. Even from last to this, he's changed. I mean, he's a growing boy, right? So he looks different, he's pushing better, he's sliding really well, all this experience. It's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, he's fully 17 now, so really getting old. 19th best start, still got top 20 speed.
A little nose up into Shady too. Kind of see that effect coming out where he's headed into the wall.
Late hike and a flop. Down into the chicane. Great
nice
line.
Looking exit out of 14. Really beautiful bottom half so far.
So what do you do when he's on the fringes of the top 20 overnight? Have they just erred a little bit on the side of caution to give him that control? 20th fastest run. He hasn't moved up. What was that, a 54.33? So Nick Timmings remains about 3.5 tenths in front of him.
Yeah, I think with his experience and just being semi-new still and at this level, if I were his coach, I'd probably stick with grip just to give him that confidence.
Yeah, don't go wild and reckless. Give the boy the confidence.
Yeah, nice job.
Yeah, a good result and a big personal best in the 4th and final heat will definitely give him confidence to go into the off-season. And like you say, you know, 16, 17, 15 when he did Youth Olympics, you know, his body is changing so much over the last 2 seasons. And the next summer, I'm sure we'll see massive changes. And of course, he and Vlad will go home and start all of their summer activities with the kids in Ukraine, starting to set up sports clubs again and trying to convince a new generation to come and go headfirst down an icy chute at 90 miles an hour.
It's not as easy as you would think, you know.
not as easy as I made it sound there, yeah. Okay, now then, for Spain, Adrian Rodriguez, 3rd World Champs for him as well, at 28 years old.
Adrian's having a really good couple runs here. Hopefully he can lace 2 more together.
Yeah, made the cut in both Samaritz and, I beg pardon, in Winterberg last time out. It was 25th place, so he's looking to stay where he is and potentially have the opportunity to move up.
Yeah, so far that top was really beautiful, nice and calm and settled, even though he was a little close to those walls.
He was 11 hundredths behind Yaroslav Lavrenyuk, who is currently in 21st place, and he started a 10th quicker, so it is very close, and in fact he has just crept ahead of the youngster from Ukraine. This is exactly what you want, just to keep improving with every run.
Beautiful looking chicane there, one of the best I've seen today, honestly.
20th best speed. Is he going to get to Nick Timmings? I think it's still quite a stretch to Timmings, so he is in, slip back behind Lavrenyuk by 8 hundredths. Well, there you are. That is the battle for the final run for Yaroslav Lavrenyuk and Adrian Rodriguez. They'll start one run, 8 hundredths apart. That's as near a dead heat. Yeah, whoever's fastest gets the spot. It boils down very easily, doesn't it? Have another good run and you move up. Such an odd technique to have to sprint with your fingertips 2 inches off the ice. Try it at home sometime and don't blame me when you come back with a cut chin.
I always tell people, have you ever tried sprinting upside down?
Yeah.
They're like, no.
Yeah. You know, bobsleigh is like pushing a wheelbarrow, but this is your fingertips are right on the ground.
Yeah, not too much pressure going into the sled. You'll slow yourself down. You can pop a groove.
Yeah.
Lots of things can happen, so.
You just saw the parents of Colin Freeling of Belgium. Colin in 23rd place overnight, and he is just 600s behind Adrian Rodriguez. So Freeling, Rodriguez, Lavrenyuk, that's a tight little group right outside the top 20. He was very happy with his day yesterday, really looking forward to today.
Yeah, he did a really great second run yesterday. I know that's definitely a confidence booster heading into this run now.
I was chatting to his dad Stefan this morning in their hotel, and he was saying Colin is really fired up for this.
A little offline going into 4, just kind of disconnects that highway a little bit. Big drop from 7, late height at 8.
He's losing out most at the start to his right. It's just a 5:20 getaway. He's going to spend the summer training with the British at the University of Bath, and his dad in his pocket as well.
What a cool facility that is.
Yeah. 19th best speed. This is good. He's a little quicker down the bottom than the two guys he's chasing. How close is he going to be at the line? 23rd still with a 54.84. So actually he has lost a little bit of ground there to Adrian Rodriguez and Yaroslav Lavrenyuk. And you saw there the British team. You know, he's sliding on British equipment, the same as our race leaders. And he has access to the same coaching.
That actually looks like he's on a Bromley sled. That looks like an X18.
It might well be, actually, because Kristen coaches him and Kimberly Boss, I think, as well as Aileen Peltmans. So it might well be a Bromley sled.
Late into 4 with that nose down, so that's what's going to cause him to have a lot of work to be done in that highway, and overdriving there with that steepest section of the track is not going to produce tons of speed.
All right, so doesn't pick up a spot, and does that mean that then Israel's Jared Firestone might have a chance of closing? Jared was a 10th behind Belgium's Colin Freeling after our first day of action. Jack Thomas coaching him, trying to help him calm that noisy brain that's telling you all sorts of stuff. It's such a bizarre sport, isn't it? You have to go off like you're Usain Bolt at the gun, and then you have to be some sort of Buddhist monk on the way down.
Big long skid though into 2, that's not going to help, and tons of cross coming out of 2.
600s quicker at the start than Colin Freeling, so the gap to Freeling was only 400s as he lay down.
Massive height at the end of 7, just not quite linking up like I know he knows how to do it, but a better looking 10.
Based here in the US, so he does know the track reasonably well. Still 24th place, not quite the speed that we saw from Colin Freeling of Belgium either. Not a bad chicane. Freeling with a 54.84 run. How close is he? 55.13. There's Meg Henry as well. We'll see Meg later on today with her best friend, Kelly Delker, as she goes in the women's race.
I'm trying to convince Meg to come over to the U.S. coaching staff. Would love another female on staff, so we're listening, Meg. Come on over. She's
going to have to convince her CO as well, isn't she? Because, yeah, she's still in the military. And she and Jack helping out with Jared Firestone.
Yeah, there's just that big skid there, losing any kind of advantage you had from the start, and just really late height in 2, which is kind of a tricky curve sometimes. New sliders sometimes flip there, which seems not possible because it's a small curve, but it's easier than you think.
Well, it's easy to fall over on ice anywhere. Ask me how I know. Our final runner in the top 25 is Jung Seung-hui. Now, this is the story of a man who is a long way from being fit. He is basically racing here to preserve his points position going into the Olympic season so that he still has a chance to qualify for the games. Popped a disc in his back, ruptured a disc in his back pre-season. Has really struggled for any kind of fitness since, as you might imagine, sprinting bent over with a broken, not quite broken, but a damaged back has been anything but fun. 5:12, 21st fastest start.
Yeah, you can see that in his start. His first step just kind of looked like not necessarily a walk in the park, but he's just preserving himself. And for people back home, that preserving of points is really important going into next year, and just of where you are on that start list, if you are on the start list, things like that. So,
well, that's the other thing, qualifying for the World Cup to make sure you keep your position. And Kimberly Boss has had that before, literally walking off at the start of races just to get points. And Jung, well, he's up ahead of Jared Firestone, ahead of Colin Freeling as well. He hasn't forgotten how to slide. He's just starting off at a gentle jog for him. I mean, he's one of the fastest athletes off the blocks normally.
And I know sometimes too, even though if you're not pushing the fastest off the start due to an injury, that time on the sled is really valuable because you know you have to make it up while sliding.
Yep.
I think of my teammate right now, Kendall Westenberg, coming back from an injury. She is sliding out of her mind. Obviously her push isn't where she wants it to be, but I know that she's going to bring that back. She's sliding so strong, and same situation here. Yeah, and US coach Matt Antoine knows all about that. He's had his own injuries over his athletic career and just having to keep going through the motions. And it's that familiarity, that race readiness when your speed comes back. And well, that run from Kim, that was a full second quicker than Jared Firestone off a start that was 200ths quicker. So he can still drive a sled. Definitely. Right now, he just can't start one. So 25 sleds down, and our 26 starter, Livio Summermatter. Now, unfortunately for Livio, really quite a long jump up to the guys in front. Jared Firestone was 3.25 seconds off the lead overnight, and Livio was 4.47, so he's 1.2 seconds back. Essentially, he needs to be quicker than Matt Weston to make it into the top 25. So this will be his final slide, unless there's a disqualification or somebody scratches from the final heat. Nice transitions 1 to 2. He looks a lot more settled today. We kind of talked about the loudness that he had, and it's already a bit quieter, calmer. Maybe going in knowing that, okay, this is maybe my last opportunity. I'm just going to slide relaxed, enjoy it. It's been a disappointing race, really. He was 21st in Winterberg last year. Again, track he knows better because it's in Europe. Youth Olympic bronze medalist in St. Moritz in 2020. So he's got plenty of potential. But again, knowledge on this track is very limited. He had for just 2 race weekends last season. And the whole Swiss team is quite young too, so they've got time. 8th fastest start. I mean, that speaks volumes about his potential. But the time has gone away on the splits. 13th fastest, 16th, 20th, and 23rd fastest run at the bottom. So that is the World Championships completed for Livio Summermatter. He will be watching the final heat. So no personal best for him, unfortunately. So debutant Jared Firestone will be in the top 25. Again, unless there is a drama with his sled or himself warming up for the final heat. Debutant Lawrence Bostock in as well. Debutant Lin Chin Wei also makes the cut.
Video Sumomata. That's it. That's done for the Worlds for him, unless he's going in the team competition tomorrow night, which I think is highly likely. The Swiss usually have 2 teams, so he may well be in for one of those. So for Timon Drahanovsky then from Czech Republic, again he and Anna Fernstedt will compete in the team contest tomorrow night. 1 male, 1 female skeleton slider, a unique starting system, essentially traffic lights, and cumulative time of both sliders deciding their finishing position. But for Timon, 27th place overnight, 5:25 getaway. That's actually not quite as quick as he managed yesterday.
Similar to Jared Firestone there, just gets late high onto and crossed over going into 3. See if we can build some speed back into this highway. Timon's another young athlete, and I know that he has a lot of big goals too, and so he's just trying to chip away at those. Season by season, massive hit out of Shady. That one does not feel good, I can attest.
Drove it down really hard, searching for the speed, and the timing was just a whisker out. And now it's going to feel like he's hitting everything all the way down.
It sure is. And you just feel a big hit before 18.
Sarah, you can't see, just flinched her shoulder because she knows what that feels like. But that's it. World Champs is over for Timon Drahanovsky as well. That was Dominic Dvorak, the former bobsled driver, who retired a season and a half ago now, who's now helping with the coaching. So Timon in his third World Championships, in fact. Made his debut in St. Moritz and was 26th last time out in Winterberg.
Really low coming through Shady, so you can see that really that's happening is they're peaking their height way too far back, diving out, hitting that wall. In fact, yesterday while forwarding, I had a big skid. The fix of that is just dropping an anchor. Drag your toe.
Yeah.
Really late height in 17. But that track will do it, just bite you right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more run, team race tomorrow.
Top half wasn't bad, bottom half more hits than Elvis. All right, so again, final run in any World Championships now, I believe, for Kwasi Frimpong. Zach Lund, his longtime friend and coach from Salt Lake City, where Kwasi still lives, here for the final run. And Kwasi will aim to go and become a Winter Olympian for Ghana for the 2nd time in Milano Cortina. He raced in Pyeongchang for his nation. And this is his final World Championship slide. His 5th Worlds, he started in Koenigsegg, Bavaria back in 2017. Now, I'm sure his wife and 2 small daughters are watching either from home or from here.
Yeah, and Kwasi loves this track too. This is looking like a really great run so far for him, especially being the last of his World Champs. I think he's probably really relaxed, just trying to enjoy it.
Yeah, savor the moment.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, he's one of those characters who is larger than life and loves everything in his life. And he's had so many different variations to his sporting career, from being a sprinter in the Netherlands to starting as a bobsledder, converting to skeleton. Yeah, it's been an adventurous journey for Kwasi. And he's
there.
Yeah, very popular guy around the sliders paddock, and I know that a lot of the TV crew very friendly with him as well. So yeah, great stuff from the Kwasi. Zach will be in the booth this afternoon for the women's race, and you'll be in your Lycra again. Good, because it's -10. Well, there you go, Kwasi, hope of a billion, and lots of friends will be wishing him well today. Again, if you want to know a little bit more about his storied career so far, there is an animated movie online. You can see it on YouTube, Black Ice. Go and have a look.
That's World Championship finish for Ghana and Africa. Let's go. Keep Africa in the game.
Nice job, Kwasi.
Yeah.
What a great attitude.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, the same as everybody else here, does it for the love, because there sure ain't no money.
That is for sure.
And finally, for Malaysia, Jonathan Yaw. So Johnny had a dramatic 2nd run yesterday. We had to haul himself back on the sled.
It was impressive.
Hopefully a little less acrobatics this time. It's that crossover of hands that was the drama. He missed the sled entirely. Almost didn't get on at all. So our final runner in Heat 3 of the World Championships here at Lake Placid.
Similar to a quasi, I'm hoping that Johnny just takes this run in. He's a really great slider. I know that he works really, really hard trying to perfect the lines, the equipment, trying to find coaches. And so he's really on his own a lot of the time, self-funded, and he just does it with an absolute amazing attitude.
Again, his home nation, Malaysia, perhaps not your first port of call.
Really late into 12 there, almost hitting the roof, maybe with his foot a little bit. It's hard to get that cross from 11 to 12. Nice and parallel, little front height in 17.
Sarah driving her way down, moving ahead, sinuous as she goes down the track. No, that's entirely natural. You're thinking about it. Yeah, coaching. So 54.97, done and down for Jonathan Yaw. So the Malaysian slider completing his second World Championships. Competed in St. Moritz, finished 32nd. And so here he is, 29th place, an improvement on his previous best.
There's this curve 12, just super late height. Sneaks it through into 13. It's hard when you're commentating for your buddies.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for your encouragement. Love you so much. God bless you.
Nice job, Johnny.
Yeah. And again, the big smile on his face. He's like everybody else. This is the most incredible adrenaline rush above all else. Yes, there's a great competition, but yeah, wow, what a thing to do. So Matt Weston then, our race leader, 3 heats down, 1 to go. Here's the gold medal coming his way. It's by no means guaranteed. We've seen already in 3 heats how easy it is to make a mistake and to have all of your time disappear. 1.6 seconds looks like a lifetime, but Axel Jung, Marcus Wyatt close together for the other medals. And what about Yin Cheng? What about Christopher Grote here and Austin Florian? I think they might still have more to say. Vladislav Heriskevich moved up. Lin Chen Wei moved up as well. That's Austin Florian in that 3rd heat. And there's an awful lot of close battles up. Banyas, Schlintner, Barefoot, that's 11 hundredths separating them. That's going to be a sort out. 100th between Kaisinger and Gaspari. Rasmus Johansson not far behind them. And the final slider, Jared Firestone, will go down first. We go last to fast in our 4th and final heats to decide the finishing positions. Livio Sumomata, Kwasi Frimpong, Timon Dranovsky and Johnny Yaw will be watching trackside, and you can join them and us. So join us when we come back for the 4th and final heat. And if I'd remember to look up my piece of paper, I could tell you when that is. But I can't. So it'll be, I think, at 1300, quite possibly. 12:45, there we go. So 12:45, just under an hour from now. Sarah, stop laughing at me. We'll be back with all the action, the final 25 sleds in the Men's Skeleton World Championships. We'll see you then.
Oh, yes!